So in the previous video, we showed you how to set up your first Facebook advertising campaign. If you haven't seen it, please click on the link below in the description. But if you have, let's move forward, and in this video, we are going to set up your first Facebook ad set for your Facebook PPC campaign. So keep watching. So as you recall from the previous video, we set up our first campaign using Power Editor. And we want to use traffic because our pixel is not seasoned. So if you have seasoned pixel, you can use conversions, but I'm going to assuming you're doing this for the first time. So your Facebook tracking pixel is not seasoned, which means it doesn't have that much data. So traffic will be the next best choice. As you scroll down, we just called it, let's say we're doing it for Zara, we're doing evening gowns. It says CPC is cost per click campaign, and we're starting to set it up on October 5th. That's when we did our last video. So we can just keep it at October 5th for now. So as you can see, there are multiple steps we can do. So in this video, we're going to cover the ad set step, and then in the next video, we're going to cover how to set up the ad. So let's move forward. So as you can name your campaign any way you want, but I typically use with the website name, what the campaign is about, what type of campaign, and then which date the campaign was set up. And because it helps me remind, because once you have like multiple campaigns, it makes it a little bit easier. So let's click continue. So at this point, it opens up your ad set. So it gives, as you can see, it says traffic, offer, audience, placement, budget, and schedule. So we will go through filling out multiple of these things as we go along. So this is one way you can actually do. So I typically come to change this later on for the audience because depending on what type of audience I pick up based on that. So let's say from here, we'll just call it like audience 1, and we'll rename it once we're done with all this. So now, as you can see, there are multiple settings here. So you have website, you have offer, you have audience creation, you have placement of ads, you have budget and schedule, and so on and so forth. And on the right side, based on whatever selections you make, Facebook is going to start showing you how what your audience size is changing. So right now, since it's using your audience selection is pretty broad, so I'm guessing it's assuming about everybody in US. So in US, you have about 200 million people who are using Facebook. So that's what it gives you here. So let's get started. So our goal here is we want to send traffic to our website. So that's why we pick website here. And here is the audience. So either you can select brand new audience, so you can create custom audience, or you can use a saved audience. So saved audience would be like if you have run Facebook advertising campaigns in the past, and you have created a particular type of audience, based on their demographic, your age, and once you start typing the audience name, it will give you which those audiences are. So in our case, what we're going to look into is, remember we created our custom audience and lookalike audience in the past. So for custom audiences, once I click here, it gives me the audiences that we created in the past. So here it says email list of existing clients. And these are the lookalike audiences that we created in the past for each of the selection. This gives you location. So let's say I want to have a lookalike audience. So if these are my existing set of customers, and this is just a test data for this particular scenario. So let's say this is my existing audience, and I want to target a lookalike audience. I've selected in US, Canada, and Bulgaria. So I'm going to select each one of these. So it says lookalike audience in Bulgaria. Then I'm going to select for California as well. I'm sorry, Canada, not California, and for US. So now this gives me this set of audience that is very similar to my audience that I've already selected. So as you can see, before that we had over 200 million people targeted, and now we're only down to 2.4. So here's another thing. So now this is the audience that is much more likely to be similar to my existing audience that of the email addresses that I've uploaded. Now, since this is the new audience that I want to target, I don't want to target my existing customers with this set of ads. So what I can do is I can exclude my existing customers because I don't want them to see the ad because they are already my customers. So I can exclude my email list of existing clients. And this I always do. So let's say if you have a lookalike audience for your subscribers, and the way you start your top of your funnel is you want people to subscribe to your blog, and then you're potentially making the sale. So you can create a lookalike audience for your blog subscribers, and then you can exclude the customer list of your existing blog subscribers, because if you are giving them a certain offer to subscribe to your blog or to your fashion brand, you don't want to show the same ad to the people who already subscribe to it. So you can exclude those lists, so that will make it much more targeted. So as this becomes my new audience, now it gives me on location, it tells me, okay, these are the full locations. So if I click on drop down menu, it tells everyone in this location, people who currently live in this location, people recently in this location. So this might be people who have visited that particular area, and this says people traveling in this location. It says people whose most recent location is within the selected area but whose home is more than 125 miles away. People recently in this location is people whose most recent location is within the selected area. So when I typically do, like, you can select whatever you want in this thing. So I typically go for, everyone in this location. Because in the beginning, when I'm testing out this ad set, I'm not sure which type of selection will give me the best bang for the buck. So I try to go with every location, and then if it's not performing, then I can start coming back here and become more targeted. So now it gives me the age. So age and gender, this is where I would say you should have done your customer avatar. So you know what your audience's age is, you know what their gender is. So this is like right now I'm just going to guess something based on what I've seen my audience is, but you should not be guessing this, because this is something that you have done a research on. So like for me, when I'm targeting for Rogueline for my customers, my typical range that I have seen that works best for me is from 25 to 50 years old. And most of the people, especially in fashion designers, are women, so I usually select women. And as you can see, when I'm changing my selections here, now instead of 2.4 million, I'm down to 1.5 million, which is still a lot at this point. And here it gives me estimated results, which says my reach could be around 5,200 per day. And number of clicks I can get about 45 to 170, which is pretty decent, right? So at this point, if I'm targeting these 3 countries, I want people who speak English. So I can select English all, I can do UK or US. I'm just going to go with all. And this is where it gets more tricky. So remember, we saw the first video where I told you that you need to search for your customer avatar and how to use Facebook's Audience Insights tool to find out, which are your top small 15 to 20 competitors, which are your mid-size, which are the larger ones, and then based on that, which other demographics or interests do they have? Are they using iPhones? Do they have single home? Are they more interested in Zara versus Prada's of the world? So this is where you can use that data to add it. So let's say add demographics. So here it gives me everything. So here's the thing, just the more research you would have done in the first step and find out those tiny competitors that are maybe local in your area or maybe in your state that your competitors are not going to search for, that is what you can enter. Because when I click here, this is the generic one that Facebook gives to everyone. So most of your competitors are just going to enter like fashion design, fashion designers, all this. But if you have done your research correctly, you would know those tiny, boutiques who have maybe 100,000 customers, local different fashion brands who are not that popular, but might be popular in your particular area, but have your potential customers. Or maybe the boutiques that you want your product to be posted on, or the boutiques where your customer is visiting, you can start adding those names over here. So in this case, we're going to just use, I'm going to do a little bit broader because I don't know what your audience is. So I will use so when I do for myself, I know, Jane Hamill, where to go? Okay, I don't know why it's not showing me here. But anyway, so for your case, let's say your main competitor might be like H&M, right? So H&M. So this will give me very generic audience, but for your case, you want to start adding more and more people here. So see, the minute I added H&M, it got down to 160,000 people, because that's what you want. You want between, I would say, 150 to 300,000 people here, your potential reach, because the more narrow you are, you can actually target them with better ads. So and this is where I talked about, so right now I'm using H&M. So if you have 10 or 15 of your small set of competitors, you can add all of those 15 over here. Then another ad set you can do for exact same stuff, like same, age, gender, same audience, same location, but you can add your mid-size competitors. And third ad set you can potentially do is with everything else, what you have here remaining the same, but you can do it for your large size competitors. And based on that, these numbers will change. And then you can see which ad set is giving you best bang for the buck. And this is a great way for do A/B testing. So let's say we have H&M. We can add another ones if you want, but this is totally open to you. So now this one gives you connection type. So connections tells you reach people who have specific kind of connection to your page, app, or an event. So this allows you, when you click here, it tells you people who are, who are my Facebook fans, the friends of people who like your page, exclude people who like my page. So this is good. Let's say if I'm trying to get more people to come to my Facebook page, then I don't want to show this ad to the people who already like my page. So I can use this to exclude this. But typically I would leave this as is, because especially if it's your first time running this, you don't know what's going to react or what kind of people are going to react. So I will leave it the way it is. And next section becomes is placements. So typically it gives you, automatic places recommended, but I always go for edit placements because there are multiple places that I just don't want my ad to appear. For example, like audience network, right? So I don't care much about audience network, so I will uncheck these. There we go. I think my computer is a little slow. Messenger doesn't really work very well for me either, so I'll uncheck those. Instagram is kind of a hit and miss, because a lot of time people will see an ad, but they're not, usually when they're on Instagram, they're actually just checking their friends, so they're swiping pretty fast. So if I want to test out Instagram, especially for fashion brands, it might work better since I mostly run ads for, people who want to hire my services for potential clients. I usually uncheck this, but you can test it out. Like, you run one ads where you have just Facebook ads and run another set of ad sets where you can have Instagram checked and see which one converts. Because by the end of the day, it's all about, keeping on your analytics. So if you find this Instagram ad is working better for you, by all means, that's what you should use. If you find Facebook ads running better for you, then this is what you should use. So typically I will uncheck for my own purposes. And on Facebook, they talk about you have feeds, instant articles, right column. So right column is typically, when you're going your Facebook feed, this tiny little column on the side, they show an image and an ad. I typically uncheck these because I have never really seen much conversions happen, because when you're watching, the right column appears when you're watching or going through Facebook on your desktop. Usually you will have so much information here that people hardly see this ad, but a lot of time it's just like wastage of money. To me, instant articles, I don't care about that as well. So typically I would keep only the feeds, because that's when you're on your desktop, the ad looks like very big image. And even when you're mobile, then you still have a decent size of image here. So feed is the one that mostly works the best for me, but I would recommend if you're doing it for the first time, kind of uncheck all of this stuff and just keep it for feeds, because that's where you will get the best bang for the buck. And then once you start to saturate the feeds that most of the ads are coming through, then you can test out like different ways. But for first time, uncheck most of the stuff and just test the feeds. Now as you scroll down, here it also gives you advanced options. So advanced options is where you can include, exclude categories. So for example, if you only want to show your ad, on only mobile devices, on Android devices, iOS devices, or feature phones, you can get even more nitty-gritty on this part. You can also do only when connected to Wi-Fi, because if you don't want to show your ads on different places. So let's say if I only want to show my ads to iOS devices. Once I select that, it gives me another way that I can even select if I want to show on iPads, iPods, iPhones. So let's say if I don't care much about iPods, I don't know why they even have it. So I click here, and if I don't want to show on iPads, I can do that. If I want to exclude these devices, I can even do that here. So let's say, if you're selling, like in this particular case, we're selling high-end gowns. So the person who's still on iPhone 4 or iPhone 5 might not be your target customer. You can think that, hey, this is a luxury gown. So the person who is maybe on the latest iPhone, iPhone 8 or iPhone X or iPhone 7, because they have invested, $700 to $1,000 buying a phone. So they're much more likely to spend money on my luxury gown as well. So you can, exclude the iPhone 4. So let's say if you get 4, you can have, iPhone 4, you can exclude it. Let's say if you want to exclude iPhone 5, you can do that. Let's say you want to exclude like 5C. So you can get even more nitty gritty over here. And if you want to, add particular device on Android, let's say if it allows me to do Samsung Pixel. No, okay, it doesn't do me that. Oh, this is because it's on iOS only. So you can get even more nitty gritty here. And here's another version. You can actually tag the operating system. So right now, I think we are on almost 10, 11. So here's another, so you can also even select that only people who have at least 9.0 and above, I only want them to see my app. So this is my minimum to maximum. So you have to have at least 9.0. So this works great. Maybe you have, you're sending traffic to your, fashion iPhone app, and it only appears, your app looks good when somebody has at least a 9.0 version and above. So you can select this, so when somebody sees your ad and they clicks on it and opens up your app on their phone, you give them the best possible experience. So this works better if you want to, see that you want people to have more experience and better experience based on whatever platform your app works the best. So you can get even more nitty gritty here, or if you don't want it, you can just do all mobile devices and nothing comes over here. So I'll leave that up to you. So typically when I'm running for the first time, I leave it on all mobile devices. And you can also do A/B tests. So you can run one set of ad sets where you're targeting Android users, one set of ad sets where you're targeting iOS devices, and see which one performs better. But mostly for the first one, leave it the way it is. Now we come to the budget and scheduling. So the budget gives you two options. So if you click here, it tells you can set your ad budget is the daily or lifetime amount. So by default, it gives you daily budget. You can click here and you can set it to lifetime. So lifetime gives you like, this is how much I want to spend from starting from this point to this point. And then Facebook will figure out how to distribute that amount of money in the time frame you have selected. So let's say right now it's doing it for 30 days from October 10th to November 10th. And let's say you want to spend, let's say we do like $300. So if for 30 days, it will start giving $10 per day. Or if you want to spend, $600, so it will distribute that amount of money in this particular days. So typically what I try to do, like I usually set up a daily budget because I don't want to have like a lifetime budget, because sometimes if it spends too much, then my ad might be done right in the beginning. So I would say if you're starting out, stick between $10 to $30. If you're tight on budget, the more, and as we talked about in the previous one too, the only way to figure out if your ad is working or not is you want to have at least 1,000 clicks. So if you spend, if your budget is only $10 a day, that's how much you can afford. That's fine, but then I would run it for enough days that I can get at least 1,000 clicks when I'm A/B testing different ones. So then I know if my ad is working or not. So let's say I will start with, $30 here. And then I want to set a day when I want to do. So October 10th, 11:15. So typically I will set it up for, let's say, like, I want to do like 8 p.m. So you can set whatever time you want. And I will do from like 8 to 8. So then I have exactly, the same amount of data. So 8:53 is fine. Let's do PM again. So that tells me my ad will run for 31 days and I will spend no more than $931. Right? So this is typically how I will run this thing. And also keep in mind, here are a couple advanced options as well. When you click on it, here it tells you, optimization of your ad delivery. So get more people to your ads landing page. I think at this point, don't worry about that at this point. So optimizing ad delivery. So here it gives you multiple options. So one is link clicks, landing page views, impressions, and daily unique reach. So impressions is, you pay for per 1,000 impressions. And I don't bother with any of these because I want to make sure that people are actually clicking on my ad. And when I click on link clicks, then I can track that, hey, if I have spent $1,000 on this particular ad and 100 people have clicked on it, how much does it cost me per click? And based on when people are landing on my web page, how many are actually converting and becoming my paid customers? So then I can track if this cost, how much I'm willing to pay for this particular click. So here it says bid strategy, get the most of the links for your budget. So let's say if I do, I click here, and see, here's the thing. So when I click here, Facebook is setting me my bid to be like $2.20, which is actually a lot. Like, I never want to pay $2.20 per click. And here's the thing, another thing to keep in mind is Facebook is a publicly traded company. So their goal is to make as much money as they can. So when you have done your own lifetime value of a customer, that you see, okay, if I'm willing to spend $1,000 on one ad campaign and 100 people click on it, that leads me to this amount of customers, and to acquire a customer, to make it profitable, then I'm willing to spend $1,000. The maximum I can spend is, let's say, 50 cents on particular click. So I will literally go out and I will test 50 cents, and Facebook is going to tell me my bid is too low at this. Well, maybe they didn't. So here's another thing, Facebook changes this stuff all the time, so some errors might appear before, but probably not anymore. And here, so when you get charged, it says impression. I don't want to be charged for impression, so I will click it and change it to link click. So only charge me when I'm getting clicks. So the minute I changed, it went back to this one. So I'm going to change it back to, let's say, 0.5. I only want to pay 50 cents per click, right? And now so typically I will run this for a couple days, and then if I'm getting clicks over here, then I'll keep running it. But if I see not many people are clicking, I'm not getting any clicks, then I'll come back and I'll increase it a little bit. I'll make it to like 60 cents, or make next one, make it to 70 cents. So when I start getting decent amount of clicks and people are converting, then I know that my ad is actually working. If not, then you can always make adjustments. Last thing I want to do is set it up for $2.20 or $3 per click, and your budget is going to go out so fast. So bid strategy, lowest cost. This is the maximum I'm willing to spend, which is 50 cents. When you get charged, I only want to get charged when somebody clicks on my ad. So this is link click. Ad scheduling. So here's what you can schedule your ad at different times you want. So I typically run ads all the time. But if you know your audience is going to be online at a certain amount of time, then you can click here. I don't know why this is not highlighted. Maybe this is for impressions. Let me see. You can schedule your ads for specific hours and days of the week. Weird. Yeah, I don't know why it's not allowing me to select this. But when you select run ads on a schedule, it will typically open up a calendar, and you can say, oh, on Monday I want my ad to run from this to this time. Tuesday I want it to run from this to this time. But when I'm doing for the first time, I typically let it run all the time and see how this ad is reacting. So delivery options, I want standard option, which is get results throughout your selected schedule. Accelerated means is if you are crunch on time and you want to do accelerated option, what Facebook will do is it will start delivering your ads as much as possible with the lowest cost to get you maximum number of clicks. A lot of time you can spend your budget, like let's say you have $1,000, you can literally spend, instead of spending in 31 days, I will end up, sometimes you can even spend it less than like 4 days. So I would, for when you're doing it for the first time, I think this is very, very advanced option. If you know exactly what your audience is, how much money you're willing to spend, the LTV value for your customer, then I would look into this. But by default, I will leave it to standard, because you don't want to come back and know that all of your budget is spent in a week, the one you were expecting to spend like in a month. So as you can see, based on this selection, it tells you now my reach is about 130,000 people, which is fine. I'm okay with it. And with this amount of spend, I can get link clicks from $22 to 22 to 66 clicks per day, and my reach is 3,500 to 9,000. So this gives me, like, I feel comfortable enough to run this ad at this point. So if I'm with you, I will actually add more here to define my target audience even more. And you can play around with this thing as much as you want. So typically, and now I will go back and change my audience name. So since this is audience for US, Canada, Bulgaria, these were women, age from, what did we select? 25 to 50, 25 to 50. And this is the CPC, right? Actually, we already done CPC before, so we don't need to do that. So now this is my target audience that I'm doing it over here. And then all you have to do on a specific, if you, even if so, you can even name it if you select particular devices, but I think all the mobile is fine. So to wrap up here, you know, create, if you're targeting, let's say these are my list of existing customers and I have created lookalike audiences, these 3 different countries. You can have multiple countries if you want. And since these are already my customers, I don't want them to see this particular ad. So I'm excluding my existing set of customers. On locations, I select everybody on this particular location. You can have multiple selections if you want. This is the research that I've done before, that I know my audience is between this and this age. They're mostly women. They speak English. Detailed targeting, this will be the list of the competitors that I have found. So I would use at least 10 to 15 of my small size competitors for this particular ad. Another ad set I will use, my mid-sized competitors. And this is the research that you should have done before you come to this point. Because this is where, if you are more niche, more targeted, then you'll be able to save money on this one. And this is most of the time, this is the deep research that your competitors won't do. And that will help you reduce your cost per click as well. Connections, add a connection type. This is what we said, for Facebook pages, I'm okay with whatever it is. Automatic placements, I'm not a big fan. I'll do edit placements, and we only want to show this ad when somebody is on their newsfeed. We don't want to show this ad anywhere else. On all mobile devices, which is fine. My budget, I'm willing to spend 30 bucks per day, and I'm only going to run this ad for 31 days, and it tells me my total budget here. I only want my ad to be link clicks. I don't want to pay for impressions because it's very difficult to track those. The maximum I'm willing to pay for per click is 50 cents. So this is where you should have done your own calculations. How much are you willing to pay? So you at least break even if you're just acquiring subscribers. I only want to get charged when somebody clicks on my ad, and I'm running this ad all the time. I don't know why it didn't allow me to click here, but maybe something I'm missing here. So delivery type is my standard delivery time, which is basically spread out my budget during these particular days. Accelerate, I would not touch here. So as you can see, my range is around 130,000 people in these 3 countries, which is really good because now I know I'm very, very targeted with the audience and how many links and clicks what I would get. And I will click continue, and that will set up my ad set. So in the next video, we will go over this area. So we will set up our actual ad in this particular ad set, and we will learn how we can even get more clicks and more targeted audiences. So thank you very much for watching this video. And this is Vishal Kalia from Fashion Marketing. If you like this video, please leave as a comment in the video. And please give the video a thumbs up. And if you want to get to know when the next video is launched, please click on the subscribe button right here, so we can tell you when the next video is coming out. And thank you very much for your time, and have a wonderful day.